This is about to join me now, Republican Congressman of the great state of Arizona, Andy Biggs. Great to see you today. Let's get down to the spreading of the hurt now and where we really are in negotiations. Where are we on the Hill?
Well, where we are is that the Democrats still haven't been willing to budge an inch, and the president's locked in, and you know, it's a big chasm, big divide, but you know what? The border wall and building the border wall is so essential to national security and to protect and preserve lives of Americans that this is a battle worth having, quite frankly.
Yeah. When Republicans like yourself were in the majority, why didn't you just get the money for the wall?
Great question. I think some of us tried to get the money for the wall. It didn't happen. And it didn't happen,
Why
in my
didn't
opinion.
it happen?
Well, I think that, you know, quite frankly, some people didn't want to actually raise it. So I think I might have told you before that before the midterms, I requested that my bill be heard, which was to build the wall and a way to fund the wall. And I was told by those who were running the House that they didn't want to have that kind of controversy before the midterm. I believe it would have actually helped Republicans in the midterm elections.
Wow.
But I think it would have also stanched the difficulties we're having now politically.
You and I talk enough that I can hear it in your voice, Congressman Biggs, that this has been frustrating, and you're very transparent when you're telling us now the answer to why Republicans couldn't get it done in the majority. It's a big question right now, because now this politically hurts across both sides of the political aisle, I would imagine. Are we at a tipping point where the president looks across the divide and says, the pain of being shut down, which he said he would own responsibility for, the government shutdown, is now greater than the political pain of being put in a position to have to executive order this?
I don't think it is just yet, and I'll tell you why. These people are going without a paycheck. I have tremendous empathy for that. That's a very difficult thing to do, but we are talking about literally tens of thousands of people who face the scourge of what happens when a loved one dies from the drugs that are coming across the border. We're facing the tens of thousands of people who've been victims of criminal, illegal aliens who've come across the border. And that means that we're dealing with a real crisis of immediate concern. I think the president's right to demand that Congress deal with this. It's our responsibility. This is the thing that's just blown my mind for 2 years, you know, quite frankly. And so we look at it and we say, here we are again, and now the president's to the point where he may need to pull the trigger and declare it an emergency, and in which case I would support that.
All right, you said that Democrats aren't budging, and you were just so transparent with what happened with Republicans. What are you all now as a group doing to budge? What does that look like, a compromise from your side?
Well, I would say the first compromise we made is we went from $25 billion down to $5.7 billion. We went from building a wall that would be literally hundreds of miles long to building a wall that is going to be going to strategic places. We've gone to a point where we're talking about making sure we have enough agents. You know, Harris, there are places in our border that don't even have the full, even half of the complement of agents they're supposed to have.
Well, you know why that is? The Border Patrol has 2,000 job openings because the federal government has a terrible retention program with them.
Right, and part of that is, under the previous administration, they stopped paying for overtime. So, so agents say, look, you know, I can make more, quite frankly, they say I can make more at TSA than being a Border Patrol agent and living in rural areas where things are very difficult and you're facing people like we face with some of the criminals that do cross the border. So we do have massive openings, and we need to deal with that. But that's where we've compromised, I think, is reducing the amount of money we want and to trying to hammer that out.
Well, that's where you've been. The question now is, where do you go? And I've got to let you go. But as I have been saying to people, make compromise great again, because you guys have got to get there. I appreciate your time from the great state of Arizona today. Thank you.
Thanks, Harris. Appreciate it.